Well, this is a test. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, I upgraded my computer yesterday, Windows 10, in a attempt to get myself using it and see if everything works right, because I can't upgrade staff until I'm sure that everything's going to work. So I have to make myself a guinea pig for a while with Windows 10. So let's talk about the project. First of all, I apologize. I know I said, that you guys had last week's the first day, which was a full class day, to work on the blended assignments here, which I'm going to switch to students so we can see it better, and I just switched to not a new teacher. Okay, so I'll switch to student. So we already did this one, and you guys had memory day 2 on the first one, and then you were to start your project on that other day, which was a white day, which was extremely short, like I would go and say, hey, haha, then give the presentation. And I said we're going to go, and we'll be able to talk about it today, look at stuff, we're going to continue on it, and then the presentation will be the next class. And I said I haven't updated the rubric, so where did you see that it said that?
I think the substance group on one of the days said something like that.
Well, don't, you should listen to what Mr. Poole said, or email me and go, okay, so are you semi-done?
I'm done. Yeah.
Done? She's done for now, but she's not really done, because
Yeah.
we're talking about stuff. She's going to
I'm
change
not.
stuff. And then Lane's not done, but Lane will be done next class, because next class we will be doing it. So I want to talk about stuff and hit back to the project and kind of hit on some questions that that Brooke had as well. Do I have shortcuts for Notebook on here? Yeah, I did. Okay. So a lot of my icons are going to just keep showing up on here because I am trying to move stuff. I just learned that you can redirect your My Documents folder. Because here's the deal. I got it so I can do swappable hard drives. So I can make it Windows 7, I can make it Windows 10, I can just swap the hard drive. I've already got them all compiled and stuff. And so what I did was I'll swap the local disk, which is the operating system, and then I've got user folders that it's going to look at user 764 to put your profile in if you log on with the Windows 7 drive, 1064 if you log on with the 10 drive, and then what I did was I made users all, and I put my desktop, my documents, my downloads, and my pictures there, so no matter which one I log onto, it'll look there, so it doesn't matter which hard drive in it I've got in, I'll see all my documents. So anyways, I didn't know how easy it would be to do that. At least with Windows 10, it's pretty easy. So you can change the location of folders in Windows 10s, which is why I'm copying all that stuff over to that location there. Anyway, so some of my icons and stuff may be off. That looks really weird. Is my screen resolution different than normal? Does it look different?
Looks normal.
And this thing, I don't know where anything is now, so let's see, where's resolution? Probably not in about, that would be a silly place to look. We thought it would have been a display.
I think they're.
Right there, it's set at their normal resolution I use, so I don't know, it looks different, but that's probably just because it's Windows 10. But this looks different. Smart Notebook looks like, isn't there usually stuff out here?
I think it's just shorter. That's all.
I don't know, some looks different.
It just looks smaller. It doesn't look very big.
Okay, I guess we'll see if everything works as we're going through there. So let's talk about the Memory PowerPoint project and the reading that we've done so far. And I guess I want to start by talking about memory. And ooh, that's something I didn't do. I didn't export my graphics from the old drive before I did this drive. I'm gonna have to rebuild that PC. I didn't export my smart content because now I've got no content in my gallery that's mine. I have the old one, I think, on the T drive. We'll look there. Hopefully it's in Teach. Those are for each chapter. That's not the. I'll worry about it later. I can live with not having any pictures. I'll just have to draw a lot. Okay? And I know everybody thinks I'm a great artist. Who wrote on my board while I was gone? There's white stuff all over. It's this. That shouldn't be on my board. Okay. So we know from our work so far that we've got a motherboard, and the motherboard's got a CPU, and the CPU's got memory sticks, right? Okay, we're gonna get line drawings today. So we've got our CPU, and our CPU's got memory, and that memory is called cache, right? And if the CPU doesn't have enough memory available while it's doing its computation in cache, then it goes out here to our system RAM, okay? And if system RAM is not enough, the computer fakes it that's a hard drive, poorly drawn, but okay. So one of the things that the system does is if there's not enough system RAM, if the CPU is going to the cache and the cache isn't enough, and then it swaps information out between the cache and the system RAM, and the system RAM is not enough, then what it does is it has what's called a paging file, which is virtual memory. What that means is it's not really memory, it pretends to be memory. Okay? So what your computer does while it's running is if it runs out of system RAM, there's this file over here that exists off the hard drive that it swaps stuff back and forth between the hard drive and that file. Okay? And that file is a different size depending on how much memory is in your computer. And what Windows does is Windows says memory times 1.5 equals the page. Okay? So what it does is it says if you've got 2 gig of RAM in your PC, then the paging file will be, let's do the math, 3 gig. Okay? Saying the paging file, that times 1.5 equals that. You see that complex math? So it says on the hard drive, I'm going to set aside this much room right there for this paging file, okay, or this virtual memory. So while your computer's running, the whole time it's running, it goes, I need some memory, I go to cache. Out of memory, it's always going to run out of cache, right? The best processor that we get doesn't have that much cache in it, right? It has the best one we can look at, probably 16 mega cache, right? And so it's always going to go to system memory, and if it doesn't have enough system memory, then it still needs memory. So what it does is it swaps it out. So like, we're going to draw a very, very poor drawing, but let's say this bit of information right here on this stick, it doesn't need right now, but it needs it later. So what it does is it writes it to this little spot in the virtual memory and then clears out that spot to use while it's thinking. And then when it needs it back, that's why it's called a paging or a swap file, because it swaps it back and forth from here to there while it's thinking. Now, this is important to know because that's why more memory makes your computer run faster. Because the more memory you have as system RAM, the less it does this. Because this is slower than everything, right? It's like this is fast, okay, we're fast, we're a little bit slower, now we're in molasses. Okay, over here going to the hard drive. Now, that makes your hard drive important. The speed of your hard drive then can impact programs all the time, because if you have low system RAM and you have a slow hard drive, your system sucks. If you have low system RAM but a solid state drive, which is what you guys have, doesn't impact your system that much because the solid state drive is memory. It's not as fast as system RAM, but it's 10 times faster than spinning hard drive. Okay? So I know these are new concepts, or slightly new concepts. Okay, did we read anything about system RAM and swap files in the reading? I don't think so. Okay, I didn't think so. So, System RAM impacts performance because the more system RAM, the less we swap, the less we use the hard drive. Which is why different kinds of systems, different uses of systems, we might want to think about different amounts of RAM. If Lane is going to use that laptop right there, okay, it's got Windows 7 32-bit operating system on it. And it takes up to 8 gigabytes of RAM max. That's how much we can put in there. How much should Lane put in there if he wants to maximize the speed of his computer? And just so you know, this is a trick question. How much should Lane put in there to maximize the speed of his computer? What is the answer? Lane, what is your guess?
8.
What?
2 gigabytes?
4. Why 4?
You can put 4 stick, or 2 sticks, 4?
Well, you can put 2 sticks of 4 to get 8. You can do 2 sticks of 2 to get 4. You get 1 stick of 4 to get 4. Why is it 4?
Because it's a 32.
Because it's a 32-bit operating system, right? Not that ding, 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 ding. Okay, a 32-bit operating system can only see 4 gig of RAM. So that's why our home system in this project said 4 gig of RAM. Because I can put 8 in it. You can have a motherboard that fits 64. But if you're going to put Windows 7 32 or Windows 8 32 or Windows 10 32 in it, it can only see 4 gig of RAM. It doesn't know the rest of it's there. It does not exist. So that's one of the reasons we have different amounts on that project. And you guys need to know this, because if you throw 8 gig of RAM in that system, you've just wasted money. You can't see it. And so this, when we're back here, no matter what is here physically, the operating system only thinks there's 4 there. Actually, usually less than 4. But so it's going to swap just the same as if there was 4, even if there was 64. Okay, so we have different amount of RAMs that we can put in there, and then the uses that our computer has makes a difference. Okay, so if we have 2 systems that now both have Windows 10 64-bit, okay, and I'm going to go out and buy a new computer, or I'm building a new computer, and I've got Windows 10 64-bit. First of all, that takes away the limitation. I can put as much as it will physically fit in that motherboard, and Windows 10 will see it. Let's see if this works now, because it didn't used to work the other way. No, why? Why does Windows pause break not work? There we go. Okay, so let's see. I don't know how to get there from here.
Where?
To my system properties.
Oh, you have to right click the start menu.
Right click the start menu?
You have to Windows 8. I don't know if they changed that.
It
Really?
doesn't do anything. You're making fun of me. Oh wait, there you go. Okay. Let's see.
Program.
Computer management.
They changed the
I'm gonna go to computer properties. Let's see what computer management brings up. I think I need batteries in my mouse again. Or is it starting?
It's just slow.
It can't be slow. My system cannot be slow. That's not possible. Where are we at? System? No, that's not what I want. I want Windows pause break to work. I want to go like that and have it do something, but it doesn't do a thing. Okay, let's see. It'd be device manager. I don't see PC. That's how I get there. Okay, so on this new PC, right, I've got a 64-bit operating system with an x64-based processor. If it isn't an x64-based processor, you can't do a 64-bit operating system. I've got 24 gig of installed RAM in there, and it sees every bit of it. But if I had a 32-bit system, it would not. The question then becomes, how much is too much RAM? How much am I wasting on? Because just because the system takes 24, and that which actually, I think it probably takes 48, has 6 RAM spots in it, but I had a bunch of 46, so I tossed them in there. How much is too much? Because there's a point where when I'm looking at this process, that I've got, if I have enough system RAM that it almost never goes to this, or I've got so much system RAM that it does never go to this, I may have gotten to a point where I'm wasting money. Okay? I will say, and that was in one of the articles. Yes? How much RAM does each OS use? And that's why it's in there, because I want you to know, and I want you to know that if you're building a system, you could waste money on RAM. There's a point where it's wasteful and you're doing nothing for yourself. Okay? Because it's got enough that it's not going to do the swap. If it's not going to do the swap, then you know, there's a point. If you're not a gamer, if you're not a big gamer, if you're not doing a bunch of high resolution graphics, if you're just using Microsoft Word and Office, you're not going to get past that 8 gig usage, which is why the business PC limit is 8 gig. Because you're not going to use it, ever. And the couple times you might use it, you're not even going to know that's what it's doing. That's why it's a little bit slower. So there are limitations to what we want to have. 16 gig right now is more than enough for a gamer. I have 32 gig in my computer at home. When I went from 16 to 32, I saw absolutely zero difference. It was a complete waste of money. I just wanted to do it. I fit 32, I'm going to put 32 just because it sounded good. But there was no reason to do it. Okay? So we've got this memory thing. We've got the CPU. It's talking to the cache. It works with the system RAM, and sometimes it swaps out to the hard drive. And if we can stop this right here as much as possible, if we can limit the amount of swapping to a normal hard drive, then we're going to increase the system speed. So we want to try to find that sweet spot. Windows 7 will work with 1 gig of RAM. It works like crap. And it says all the time, you've got low memory. And then you're like, and I got to restart the computer. And then it'll work for a while. It'll run out of memory again. Okay? So Windows 7, really, 2 gig becomes the low end, which is what you guys have. But it's with solid state drives. So you're doing a lot of this, but it's not really impacting your performance that much. If we put the same spinny drive in that laptop with 2 gig RAM, you would be really unhappy. Okay? You would be, because of this swapping that's going on that you don't even know is going on most of the time. Okay? So, with that being said, we go to look at our individual motherboards and what they take. And so, when you look at your motherboard, you have a finite number of slots. Maybe you got 2, maybe you got 4, maybe you have more than that. And also on there, you've got how many slots? And we have to say, how big does each take? How big? Because just because they make 16 gig sticks of RAM doesn't mean your motherboard can take 16 gig RAM. They make 8 gig sticks for this of the kind of memory that's in your laptop. It will not work. It only takes 4 gig sticks maximum for those laptops. So those are the things that you need to know when you start your project, which is why the first slide on there, if you don't have one from your motherboard, that you say, this is a gigabyte, blah, 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 and it takes this kind of memory. That's why it's on there, because the first thing you need to do is tell us what it does take. Okay? Now, if I've got a PC with 4 memory slots, it's probably dual channel memory, meaning that what I probably see on my thing is I got 2 slots of one color and 2 slots of another color, and if I can put it in, one of you guys read about what dual channel is, I want to try to put them in that dual channel order. I also, if I'm buying, and this is personal preference, don't want to fill up all the slots. If I say I'm putting 8 gig in, I am going to buy 2 times 4 gig. In other words, I'm going to put a 4 gig stick there and a 4 gig stick there. It's going to be the best performance. 2x4 is better than 1/8, okay, because I make use of that dual channel architecture, okay. But I don't want to do 4 times 2. Why do I not want to do that? Why is that a bad idea? Yeah, that's right. I mean, is this gonna perform the same as this? You betcha. These 2 are gonna perform the same theoretically. This one might even be a little bit better. This one might be a little bit better. But I have no ability to expand without throwing stuff away. Right? I would have to toss two gig sticks of RAM in the trash in order to make it, bring it up to 16 or something later. So I'd always like to shoot for, yes?
Are you missing Brooke up to Graph?
I am missing Brooke up to Graph.
Okay, I got her. Thank you.
She's sick at home.
Do what?
I said she's sick at home. I knew that, but you didn't know that.
No, I didn't.
Okay,
Thank you.
sorry.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so, and I'm not saying you have to redo your project if you did that. Okay, there's nothing wrong with doing that, but that's why I said my personal preference is I would not do this. I would prefer this so that I have the ability to expand later. Yes?
Is this your teaching day?
What?
Or is this your teaching day?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's
Just put in a work request. I'll try to get you when I can.
awesome. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's just say you put in, your computer can fit like 32,
Okay.
but you only use 8 at the time, and you want to expand. If you have 2 4s and then you add 2 8s, can you
Yeah.
still do that?
You're not gonna, yes, you can.
Okay.
When I put it, yeah, you're not gonna get to 32 that way, right?
Yeah,
But that's still a lot of RAM. So yeah, so you could put in 2 4s here and 2 8s there, and that's fine. The dual channel thing is saying the two things for the matchy spots should be the same, which isn't to say the two things the other matchy spots can't be the same of something else. You could do 2 2s here and 2 4s here. You could do 2 2s and 2 8s. Yes. So, but that's why I would personally do this. Now, if this cost me $100 and one of these cost me 20, okay, I might buy this one. Of course, really, if that was the case, I'd buy 2 of these and put it in 16, even though I didn't need it, right? Because it's that much cheaper. So, you kind of have to look at the pricing too. Okay, so one of the things that Brooke was having an issue with is she was looking at the wrong amount of memory for her thing. Okay, she's like, I can't find a stick under $300, but she was looking at 32 gig sticks. None of these require a 32 gig stick of RAM. They are expensive to buy a single 32. Okay, so she just was looking at the wrong amount. So when you guys are doing the project, let's see if my mouse works. And we look at the PowerPoint project down here, it says, you know, the home PCs get 4 because we're assuming that's a 32-bit system. The business PCs get 8, we're assuming that's a 64-bit system, but they're using Office. Okay, and the gamer PC gets 16. And that's because of this. Now, I will tell you that if you have a 64-bit system, you don't want to have 4 in it, because it does use more memory. The operating system itself does. So if I only had 4, I know this is aside, but if I only had 4 in my system, I would not want to put a 64 on it, unless I was like, I know I'm going to buy more later, so I'm going to put 64-bit on it now because next month is my birthday and Mom's going to give me $50 and I'm going to buy another stick of RAM then. Okay? Because you can't upgrade from 32-bit to 64. You have to wipe your hard drive, total reinstall. Yeah.
So, like one of my business one, the motherboard, it took 32 gigabytes of memory, and I put in, it was the business one, so I had 2 sticks of 8 gigabyte.
Yeah. No, you're supposed to put it 8. Business PCs get 8.
So is that okay? Can I just say to use one? Like, is that,
Yes, you could. You could. Yeah. But the reason we're saying 4, 8, and 16 on this project is so you can see price differences. If all this had motherboards that took 32 and we all bought 32, then we wouldn't see price differences, right? Because you want to see what is the cost of 2 2-gig sticks versus the cost of 2 4-gig sticks versus the cost of 2 8-gig sticks. So if we stick with this number, then we get to see that differential.
because it seems like all the Viper ones from.
Oh, they didn't make small
They all
ones?
come in pairs, yeah.
Yes, and that happens a lot, yeah. So in this one, I would have looked for 2 4 pairs, which is small now. That's the low end of DDR3 and DDR4 memory. Now, you know, it used to be, when we were in DDR2, they're still making 256 meg sticks. Okay, I sent a bunch to a recycle place. They're 256 meg a piece, so we put in 4 of those sticks to get 1 gig of RAM. Okay, that's what and that was fine for Windows XP. Windows XP ran great on 1 gig of RAM. So we had a whole bunch of 256s, and then we started buying 512s, and that's, you know, while I've been here, we had 512s, and we would have 4 sticks of 512s And then when we wanted to go to Windows 7, I was like, it's just not enough. And so I held off and held off and held off on going to Windows 7 until we got all these Optiplex 780s, and they all came with 4 gig of RAM in them. And I actually stole RAM out of those to spread it out. So that we had 4 in them. We took them down to 2, and then later, as we got more, we bumped them back up to 4. So all of ours have Windows 32, and they all have 4 gig RAM in all the teacher PCs. In fact, we have enough sticks enough 4 gig sticks. We got a couple of trays of 4 gig sticks that we could bring those up to 8 gig and put Windows 32 64-bit on them. But we have an issue, and I've been trying to fix it. I can't. The TV cards and all the teachers' computers only work with the 32-bit operating system. They work fine on Windows 1032. I get no picture at all on Windows 1064, and I just bought them all 2 years ago. So, do I upgrade them to 64 for no reason and lose the TV card, or just leave them on 32? So we're going to leave them on 32, which is what you guys are going to get to. Why do I have 64 on mine? I don't know. If it's a lot of RAM, I want to see if it ran any better. That's why I'm doing it, so I can swap, so I can see the same system. It makes a difference. I've tried there very much. So.
So for a gamer, can it be 32 gigabytes?
No, it's 16.
So it has to just be 16.
Yeah, see, it says note. That's why it's in red and bold.
Well,
So.
it's easy then, because I can just switch my business one to my gamer. Why can't it do that? I can see if it'll work for it.
Yeah, you have to look.
I couldn't even find any 32 gigabytes in my gamer. I couldn't find any sticks of 8. So I think
Gamer
it was-
PC?
Yeah, so I used
It's
4
pretty-
sticks of
It's pretty sad too, because all the they're really pushing out DDR4, so you have to get all the DDR3 used.
Mine only takes 3,000 overclocks.
What? Okay, we're gonna go back and look at your thing. If I can get my mouse to work. Okay, so let's go up to your motherboard presentation. Are we talking about your gamer, or are we talking about
Gamer.
okay. So look, let's and I'm only pulling it up this way because it's easier to oh, I have student view, so I can't see it. Come on. Well, it's it's not that far away that my mouse should be working just fine. Let's see. Because it moves fine. Pretend you didn't see that. And we'll go to lanes and take a look at it.
It's on slide 22.
Slide 22. Okay. So we've got a L337Z97.
Yeah.
That's a lot of. Okay. Now I can't. I didn't have beast in search already. Okay, so we're going to go to ECS and take a look at it in the specs and so kind of memory. Where do I see the specs on this one? Just there?
It's at the bottom.
I got. Oh. So, memory supports, that's it. That's all it takes is DDR3 3000. That is crazy. Okay. I mean, that's really, so. Excuse me. Newegg. So, I guess if we're in that kind of a,
Put DD30,000.
I could type it however I want to. Oh heck, I'm just going to move it. I'll figure it out from there. At least my mouse is working right now. I don't know why the range is so. Okay, so let's see. Home. And we're going to go to computer components, memory, desktop memory. DDR3.
Yeah, that
30,000.
was the only one I could find, was the one at the bottom, but it had like a slower cap.
So all we've got is, so we've got, who's our manufacturer? Or did you start with this one?
I just think, well, I looked that first before I picked.
Okay, because this is your
I did that
limiting one.
I'm doing that one right there, the 4 sticks of 4.
Which one, right?
Um,
Here?
It's that one, but it has 4 sticks.
Okay, so you just bought it twice, right?
No, it's like, I think it has 4 if you go down more.
Oh, there's another option that gives us.
Yeah.
Okay, 4x4. You did this one.
No,
500.
no, it's the next one down.
No, the next one. This one. 4x4. Why'd you do this with $669? That's 509.
Looks cooler.
Looks cooler. Okay, it's your money. Okay, so what was your question or statement?
I couldn't find any like 8 GB sticks, so I just did 4. So
Well, these are gamer ones. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. No, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I mean, Corsair, since that's your manufacturer, maybe they don't make any 8 gig sticks. Yeah,
Well,
nothing
they-
says you have to do 8 gig
They did
sticks.
for
You just have to do
DDR4,
6.
but they didn't have any for DDR3.
Because this is the top end of the. No thanks. Go away, Tech. Okay, no, that's fine. I mean that definitely fits in the specs of what we're supposed to be shooting, right? It says 16 gig, doesn't say how you're going to get to 16. As long as your motherboard has 4 slots, which I didn't look, but I'm going to assume it does. Has 4 slots, say, so it takes up to 32. So you could put 4 8s or 4 4s in there, and we're saying 4 4s is good enough. Okay, and we don't have the option, right? Is it even a 2x8 in this whole thing? No.
Only a 2x4.
I think there was a 2x8, but it had a slower like cascade.
Well, right now that's all we're seeing. So, and that's fine. That fits in the project, and honestly, 16 gig of RAM you'd be perfectly happy with. Okay. So that's the first thing. We need to make sure we're looking for the right size. The way you have it doesn't matter. You know, if it says 8, you need to have 8. So you can buy a stick of 8, or you can buy 2 sticks of 4. You buy 4 sticks of 2. Yeah, that's still 8. However you want to do it, but I would, if I had the option, try to not fill all my slots if it was for my PC at home, just so that I have the ability to upgrade later. Okay. Any other questions on that? Because I'm going to give you time the rest of the class today, and then I'm going to post this and email it to Brooke, so she's got this information as well.
I think all I need to do is just redo my business one.
Okay, so let's see. Is there anything else on the rubric? I don't think I edited the rubric right yet with some of the stuff. As far as some of the things on there are old. As far as some of the timing stuff, maybe I did. I can't remember if I took this.
Oh, I remember I was confused about bandwidth.
Right, and that I would take out. Yeah, the rest is good. That's the one that would come out. That used to be on the old specs of memory. Okay, so the last thing that I wanted to talk about was memory leakage. Did it talk about that in the reading? I can't remember the reading since I haven't read it recently. Okay, so if your computer is doing this swappy thing back and forth all the time, and it's, well, what happens is every single time a program opens, it requests X amount of memory. Okay, so you might open up Microsoft Word and it asks for 512 megabytes of RAM for that program to run. Okay, it kind of requests it from the operating system. And the operating system goes and says, oh, okay, here's your RAM that you need to run well. And then you open up another program and that program requests RAM and you close Microsoft Word. What memory leakage is that if this RAM does not get returned to the operating system, obviously it doesn't change the amount of memory. The amount of memory that's in the system is the amount of memory in the system. But if the operating system, kind of think about it like this, kind of like the bank, okay, has we'll say 8 gigabytes of RAM. If it has 8 gigabytes of RAM in the bank, and it keeps lending out RAM to programs as they open and close, and yet the programs don't all return it when they leave. They stole the memory and left with it, okay? Then the RAM slowly, it's called memory leakage. slowly the operating system runs out of RAM. Every single time we restart a computer, it goes back to whatever it was supposed to be. Okay, that solves the problem because it now sees everything it has. Which is why 9 times out of 10, if somebody's having a problem in a room, the first thing I'm going to go is I'm going to walk in and I say, did you restart your computer? And some staff members get tired of me asking that question, but 9 times out of 10 it solves the problem. My printer works fine, but all of a sudden it doesn't work. Did you restart your computer? Okay, because they've been doing other things. And this memory leakage issue, suddenly all of a sudden the OS is confused, something's not working right, and as soon as they reboot, that thing does work right. Okay, so I wanted to mention memory leakage. The last thing I wanted to talk about is that swap file. I just want to say that file, Windows wants it to be 1.5 times the amount of memory. Okay? And it's going to go and reserve that on your hard drive. Realizing that if I've got 24 gigabytes of RAM in this computer, I would be giving up 36 gigabytes of hard drive space to that swap file that will never, ever, ever be used. And so I just want to show you real fast. We can set the amount of RAM that's in that swap file. So if I go to Advanced System Settings, and I go to Performance right here under Settings, and I go to Advanced again, it says right now this is how much the paging file is in virtual memory, and I can change that. And if you look, right now it's automatically managed by Windows, and I can go and say I don't want it to be automatically managed. What I really want, and it's got that much space available, I really want to say, okay, you know what, I've got tons of RAM in this PC. There's no reason to have a big system file. So I can go ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to say you got 2 gig of system file, of paging file, and I can hit set. And so now 2 things happen when I do that. I've set it so the minimum maximum is the same. So it says this is what you got, that's all you got, you can't have any more than that. Okay? And by setting the min and the max the same, is that file size doesn't go like this while Windows is using. Okay? And that right there is what causes our hard drive to get all out of whack. Because Windows will expand and contract that all day long when it needs it, and it because that file size changes during the course of you using your computer, things get moved around and not get saved together. We're going to talk about disk fragmentation when we get to the hard drive section, but this greatly solves the problem of disk fragmentation because now the hard drive is the hard drive and it doesn't move things around. We're going to talk about this later, but I wanted to show you this now and how we can set that file. And if I had a low amount of RAM, I'd leave it at 1.5. Okay, if I had 2 gig in here, I'd put it probably at 4040 or 4096, 4096. I'd make it actually twice as much. But since I've got so much, I don't need any at all. So I'm actually going to set that just like that, and it's going to say, hey, you have to restart your computer to make that happen, and I already know that. I say restart later because I have to save this file. Has anybody got any other questions? Okay, we're going to talk more about memory next class. After we do the presentations, we're going to start testing memory because we haven't had a chance to do that at all. And I'm going to save this video and hope it works out fine so I can send it to Brooke. Where is the video recorder? See if